You've found your way to Driftwood Stories, where the ocean is calm, the night is kind, and the stories float slow and easy, just like they're meant to. This is a place where the ocean is never in a hurry, and the stars take their time blinking hello. Maybe you're curled beneath your blankets, or perhaps the world outside has just grown quiet. Wherever you are, let this moment be soft. Let your thoughts slow like waves meeting the sand. Tonight we'll dive into a gentle adventure. It begins with a dolphin, one with more bounce than bravado, more laughter than legend. But when trouble comes to his part of the sea, he learns that being brave isn't always about being strong. Sometimes it's about being kind and fast and just foolish enough to do the right thing. This is the dolphin who danced with danger. Chapter 1. Dipper the Dolphin. Dipper was not a very serious dolphin, which was just fine because the sea, most of the time, was not a very serious place. He was young, silver blue, and shaped like a comma made for laughter. His fins were always a little too fast, and his thoughts a little too wild. He'd leap into the air just to feel the sun on his belly. He once raced a seagull just to see who could squawk louder. And he was the only dolphin in the reef known to get tangled in kelp while trying to invent underwater somersaults. The others shook their heads. "Dipper's dreaming again," they'd say. But Dipper didn't mind. He liked dreams. He liked the way water sparkled when you flipped through it just right. He liked making tiny bubbles into rings and stacking them like bracelets. He liked the feeling of swimming just a little too fast around a coral column, heart racing, laughter bubbling through his blowhole, and more than anything, Dipper liked making others smile. Every morning, he zipped through the reef like a greeting card on fins. "Good tide, Shelley," he'd shout to the grumpy crab on Rock 17. "Race you later, Bloop." He'd call to the jellyfish that blinked when excited. He'd do a twirl, or a splash, or a ridiculous impression of a very confused sea cucumber, and usually it worked. Even Shelley cracked a clawed grin now and then. But Dipper wasn't just silly, he was watching, listening, learning where the fish liked to hide when the currents got strong, where the coral was sharp, and when the sea changed its rhythm. Because even jokesters know when the sea goes quiet, something is coming. And one morning in a cove he almost never visited, chasing a lost pebble for no real reason at all, Dipper heard something he wasn't meant to hear. A voice, sharp, low, cold. "We strike on the moontide," it said. "She'll be tired. We'll have the eggs before they hatch." Dipper froze. Eggs? A mother? Another voice joined the first, crueler. "The little ones won't even make it to the water. Turtle meat's best when it's fresh." Dipper's heart slammed in his chest. He didn't wait, didn't breathe. He turned in one powerful flick and shot through the sea like an arrow made of light. The tide had changed, and so had he. Chapter 2. A Shadow in the Current. The ocean moved differently now. Dipper shot through the water like a silver streak, heart pounding in his chest. He didn't even stop to somersault through the ring of rocks he usually looped, a sure sign that something was wrong. The voices he'd heard still echoed in his mind. "We strike on the moontide. She'll be tired. eggs before they hatch sharks. Dipper had never really seen a shark up close. He'd heard stories, sure, about their sharp smiles and colder hearts, but they were tales told in seaweed circles, warnings whispered by older dolphins who always made the shadows sound bigger than they really were. Except this time, the shadows were real. He zipped past his usual play spots, past the rock where Shelley the crab always scolded him for swimming too fast, past Bloop's favourite jelly drift lane. He didn't stop for greetings, didn't stop at all. He needed to find her, the mother turtle. Every year, around this time, the sea turtles returned to the nesting beaches beyond the southern reef. It was a long journey, exhausting, slow, and often dangerous, but the mothers always came, always. And Dipper had heard of one in particular, Mirror, the Shellkeeper, they called her. Old as a storm anchor, and just as steady. She was the kind of turtle even the whales nodded to in passing. If she was the one those sharks meant to attack. Dipper dove deeper, cutting through the kelp forest with practised ease. Schools of fish scattered at his speed. He spotted her near the canyon edge, slow-moving, graceful despite her size, her shell dusted with barnacles like medals of honour. "Mirror," Dipper called, surfacing beside her with a splash. "You have to turn back. It's not safe. I heard." She looked at him with calm, knowing eyes. "I know," she said. Dipper blinked. "You do?" She nodded, ancient and unafraid. "There are always those who wait in the dark. That's nothing new, but," Dipper sputtered, "they're planning something. A group of them. They want to catch you on the beach. Take your eggs." Mirror kept moving, slow and certain. "That is what they do," she said gently, "but that is not why I stopped." Dipper swam backward, tail flicking, frustrated. "You can't just keep going. Not alone." Mirror smiled then, a soft, tired smile. "Then I suppose," she said, "I'll need someone beside me." Dipper hesitated. He looked down the long stretch of sea ahead, darker water, uncertain tides. He looked back at Mirror and nodded. "All right," he said, "then I'm swimming with you." Chapter 3. The Shellkeeper's Journey. The sea around them grew quieter. No more reef chatter, no schools of darting fish, just long stretches of open blue where the water thickened with silence and the currents curled like sleepy dragons. Dipper swam in slow circles around Mirror, who moved forward with the steady rhythm of someone who had made this journey many times before. "How long until we reach the nesting beach?" he asked, dipping below her and flipping lazily back up. "By moonrise," she said. "That's when they plan to strike." Dipper muttered. Mirror nodded. "Of course it is." She didn't seem afraid, not in the way Dipper thought she should be, not like someone with danger closing in behind and a clutch of unborn babies waiting in her belly. "But they're sharks," Dipper pressed. "Big ones, with teeth that can slice a stingray in two." Mirror blinked slowly. "And you're a dolphin, with a heart that outswims fear." Dipper wasn't so sure. He swam beside her in silence for a while, watching the way she moved, not fast, not fierce, but firm, like she trusted the water to hold her, no matter what. "You've done this before?" he finally asked. "Many times," she replied. "I've left eggs on that beach more years than I can count." "And did they always make it?" Mirror's eyes softened. Some did, some didn't. Dipper felt a lump rise in his throat. "How do you keep doing it?" he asked. "Knowing there's danger, knowing they might not survive?" She paused then, turning her great head slightly toward him. "Because some will," she said, "and that's enough. Life isn't made in certainty, little one. It's made in the trying." Dipper was quiet for a long time after that. They swam beneath a sun that slowly sank, the light above rippling into gold and then lavender. Below, the world dimmed to a softer blue, full of long shadows and growing quiet. They passed the great coral shelf, past the ruins of an old fishing boat, now home to curious eels, and just before the water began to grow shallow, they saw it. The nesting beach. It rose like a promise out of the sea, moonlit sand, warm with memory, and a gentle slope where the waves kissed the shore like an old friend. Mirror took a deep breath. Dipper hovered beside her, his tail twitching nervously, and then a shape, moving just at the edge of the darkness. Dipper narrowed his eyes. They were already here, waiting, watching. Chapter 4, Friends in the Foam. Dipper didn't wait. The moment he spotted the shadows, long, sleek and circling just beyond the reef's edge, he knew he needed help. Fast fins alone wouldn't save Mirror and her eggs. This wasn't a problem to outswim, it was a problem to outsmart. "Be back," he whispered to Mirror, who was already beginning to haul herself onto the sand with slow, powerful motions. "Just hold tight." She didn't ask where he was going. She just nodded once, calm as ever, and Dipper vanished in a swirl of bubbles. He found Shelley the crab first. Of course he did. She was perched on her usual rock, mid-scold at a passing gull. "They're what?" she snapped when Dipper explained. "Planning a shark ambush? On a nesting mother? That's dirty ocean business, that is." Shelley was small, grumbly, only had one working claw, but she was smart, and she had friends. "I'll rally the sand crawlers," she said. "We'll make the beach as uncomfortable as a stinging sponge bath." Dipper grinned. "You're the best, I know." Next was Bloop, a translucent jellyfish with a nervous glow and a heart like a sponge cake. Bloop jittered when Dipper explained the plan, but blinked pink in agreement. I can float near the surface," Bloop stammered. "Make a distraction. Pretend I'm something glowing and delicious." "Exactly," Dipper said. "Just don't get eaten." "Noted." Then came Glint, a parrotfish with scales like polished gemstones and a mouth that never stopped moving. Did someone say infiltration? Diversion? Decoy formation? I'm in. I've always wanted to be a secret agent. Dipper blinked. "I didn't say any of that. You didn't have to." Glint swam loop-de-loops around him. "Where do you want me?" And last, just as Dipper was heading back, he was joined by an old, slow-moving shape rising from the sand, Bramble the stingray, wide as a table, quiet as a cloud. "I heard," Bramble said simply. "I'll take the southern flank." Dipper blinked. "You heard?" "I always hear," Bramble murmured, and glided away like a ghost in the dark. By the time Dipper returned to the beach, the moon was high. Mirror had finished her nest. The sand was patted smooth, her flippers dusted in starlight. She looked up as Dipper arrived, a little breathless, a little unsure. "I brought help," he said. Mirror smiled. Of course you did. From the shadows his team emerged, one by one. Small, colourful, not fierce, but ready. They'll come from the east side, Dipper said, heart thudding. We'll draw them away from the nest, confuse them, slow them down. Then we make noise, Glint added. A lot of it. Light too, said Bloop, glowing faintly pink. Sharks hate surprises. And I'll be waiting, rumbled Bramble, in case one gets clever. Shelley clicked her claw. Let's give them a night to remember. Dipper looked out over the dark water. He wasn't sure if this would work, but he knew one thing. He wasn't alone, and sometimes that was enough. Chapter 5. The Trap Beneath the Moon. The ocean glittered silver, not peaceful silver, the kind that masks danger just beneath. The moon hung low, full and round, watching everything. Mirror waited on the beach, half buried in sand, her eggs tucked beneath her in the nest she had carved with care. Her eyes were closed, but she wasn't asleep. She was listening. And below, in the water, where light met shadow, Dipper's team was in position. The sharks came just after midnight. There were 3 of them, big, dark and slow with confidence. They cruised in tight circles, fins slicing the surface, eyes scanning the shallows. She'll be tired, one of them growled. Easy pickings. They always are, said another. Dipper shivered from his hiding spot beneath a fan of seaweed. And then, go, he whispered. Bloop was first, floating toward the moonlight with his gentle glow pulsing in rhythmic blinks. He bounced like a lure, pink and purple, soft and strange. What is that? One shark muttered. Don't know, said another. Looks tasty. They turned, just slightly. That's when Glint zipped past like a rainbow comet, scattering sand and singing nonsense at the top of his voice. Shimmer, flip, flap, bang, this way to the snack bar. The sharks startled. What was that? Distraction, muttered the first. Ignore it. Too late. Shelley and her crew, dozens of crabs hidden beneath the sand, erupted from the beach in a snapping storm. Claws clicked, sand flew, and 2 sharks found themselves nipped and pinched and utterly confused. Retreat! Reverse! Regroup! Glint shouted from somewhere overhead. Bramble glided silently beneath the fray, stirring up a great puff of silt. The water turned cloudy, hiding everything in a blur of motion and moonlight. Dipper darted through the chaos like a lightning bolt. We need to lead them away, he called. Now! He circled the sharks, smacking the water with his tail, laughing loud and wild. Can't catch me, he shouted. Come on, you oversized fish flakes. It worked. 2 of the sharks gave chase, anger flaring behind their eyes. Dipper led them wide, out past the reef, past the coral shelf, fast, turning, weaving, flipping, until he was sure they were far, far away. The 3rd shark was smarter. He turned back, toward the beach, toward the nest, toward Mirror. But just as he breached the shallows, something rose from the sand. Not claws, not lights, just one shape. Mirror. She was no longer resting. She faced him fully now, ancient, powerful, unmoving. The shark paused, hesitated. Mirror took a single step forward and said softly, no, that was all. But it was enough, because behind her, the first egg cracked and the shark turned. Later, when the moon had climbed higher and the sharks were gone, the beach was quiet once more. Tiny turtles, no bigger than sand dollars, made their way toward the sea in long wiggling lines. Dipper floated just offshore, watching with wide eyes as they tumbled into the waves. "You did it," he whispered. Beside him, Bloop bobbed. Glint shimmered. Shelley grunted, wiping sand off her claws. "We all did." Mirror slid gently back into the sea, her shell now a little lighter. She looked at Dipper. "You've changed," she said. Dipper blinked. "Really?" "You're still silly," she added. "But now you're something else, too." Dipper tilted his head. "What's that?" Mirror smiled. "A ripple." Chapter 6. Ripples of Bravery. The sea was still again. Not the heavy stillness of danger, but the quiet that comes after something good has happened, something worth remembering. The moon had begun to dip, brushing the water with soft silver trails, and the baby turtles, nearly all of them, had made it to sea. Dipper floated just beneath the surface, his tail moving lazily, his heart full in a way he didn't quite have words for. Around him the others drifted close. Glint was already retelling the night's adventure in dramatic fashion, swimming loops and casting imaginary light beams from his eyes. Bloop blinked sleepy shades of blue and pink, occasionally hiccuping tiny bubbles. Shelley snored softly on a warm rock. Bramble, of course, had simply vanished into the sand with a final rumble. "Call me when there's real trouble." Dipper smiled, watching it all. He had never thought of himself as brave. He was the silly one, the one who splashed too loudly, who twirled when he should have turned, who once mistook a jellyfish for a hat. But now something inside him had shifted. Not changed completely. No, he was still Dipper, still joyful, still quick with a joke and faster with a flip. But now he knew something new. He could do something when it mattered. He could protect. He could stand, or rather, swim, between danger and the ones who needed him. Not because he was strong, but because he cared. Mirror passed him quietly, her shell glinting with moonlight, her journey done, for now. She didn't say anything, but as she passed, she gave him the smallest, slowest nod, and it meant everything. Later, long after the others had drifted off, Dipper swam alone beneath the stars. He leapt once, high into the air, and spun, laughing into the sky. The sea caught him gently when he landed, and the ripple he made travelled farther than he knew. Moral of the story: bravery doesn't always roar. Sometimes it swims with a grin, speaks with kindness, and glows just enough to be followed. And when you stand up for what matters, even when you're scared, you become the ripple that changes everything.